Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I'm running you through the basics of climate change, what it is and how humans contributed to it. This is just the very basics, so if you have further questions, please let us know in the comments. One of the first things for this topic that's important to understand is the difference between climate and weather. And so we have this illustration of climate versus weather. Weather is changes in atmosphere that result in changes of how we experience the day on an individual day-by-day basis. So you can see my poorly drawn forecast day by day. Today's weather is sunny, the next couple days are sunny, and then 3 days from now it might be sunny with some clouds. That's an example of weather. Climate, on the other hand, is all of this weather over time. So what are the big picture patterns of how the weather has looked over a long period of time? Much of climate change can be attributed to the greenhouse effect, which you can see here. In the center, we have the Earth, and then we have a layer of gases right outside the Earth called the atmosphere. The Earth's got a bunch of heat in it. Some of that heat comes from the sun warming the Earth, and some of that heat comes from the Earth itself and the activities that take place on the Earth. Us moving around creates heat, animals moving around creates heat, and all of those activities just create some heat. That heat then radiates off of the Earth and theoretically escapes from the Earth through the atmosphere, that layer of gases. Climate change is the addition of different activities on the Earth's surface that have changed the composition of the gases within the atmosphere. So there are different gases in the atmosphere now than there used to be, and that means a different amount of heat escapes, as you can see in the illustration. So where some of that heat before used to escape through the atmosphere because of the gases that used to exist there, now there are different gases, and those gases trap the heat more. So when the heat tries to escape through the atmosphere sort of bats it back to the Earth and doesn't allow it to escape, and the heat remains trapped on the Earth within the atmosphere. This makes our overall climate warmer. All right, so now that you get the greenhouse effect, it's important to understand how humans have contributed to change in what those gases are that trap the heat inside the atmosphere. Research from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says that there's a 95 to 100% probability that humans are responsible for at least half of climate change. Our ways of life, particularly since the Industrial Revolution, have created a massive change in the gases that live in our atmosphere. Activities like deforestation, for example, where you tear down forests to create areas for humans to live, has been a huge contributor to the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, one of the main greenhouse gases that traps heat within the atmosphere. Burning coal and oil, which for a couple centuries now has been how we fuel production, that's been a huge contributor to carbon dioxide in the atmosphere as well. And things like landfills, right? You throw the trash away and that trash has to go somewhere. Well, it goes into landfills, and the decomposition of all of that garbage produces a bunch of methane, which is another gas. That methane gets trapped in the atmosphere and changes the composition of the atmosphere so that more gas gets trapped within the Earth and the atmosphere. With more heat trapped in the atmosphere, this is a climate change that changes our day-to-day weather. Sure, in a lot of places it makes it hotter, but people think climate change is about it just getting hot, and that's actually a part of the reason why we call it climate change now and not so much global warming, because people used to think that if there were still cold days or if it still snowed, then global warming couldn't possibly be happening, and that's not true. Climate change is big picture. It's about the amount of change over time and the heat trapped in the atmosphere and how hot things are over time, not on a small scale day-to-day. If you just look at it day-to-day, you're not going to see the big picture. It does mean that average temperatures really all over the world have been rising steadily, which changes really everything. It means that glaciers are melting and many more glaciers have the potential to melt, which could rise the sea levels. It means that animal, plant, and bug species are changing the way that they live. Some animal, plant, and bug species only live in certain climate conditions, and because the climate overall is changing, whether or not those species can continue to thrive is also changing. And you might think I don't care about whether or not one specific plant dies, but plants and really all living things are a part of greater ecosystems. And an ecosystem is a system of things that rely on one another to live. So if certain plant species die off, then the bugs that feed off of that plant species are also going to die off because they don't have food. And then the animals that feed off of that bug species are going to die off because they don't have food. And then that's going to affect us because those animals are gone now. So on the whole, it does really matter. It affects our day-to-day life a lot deeper than just like it's hotter now. It changes really the entire world forever, and it has a lasting impact that we can't reverse. We can slow it down though, so I really encourage you as next steps to research how you can make an impact on climate change, what day-to-day actions you can take to be better to the climate and take care of our planet a little bit better. Those are the very basics on what climate change is, how humans have contributed, and how it's different from weather. Let us know if you have further questions. We're happy to answer them. Thanks everyone, have a great day.